Here we go. C. Morgan. They work in cybersecurity as a contractor, and sometimes they get in the difficult position of quoting existing clients for new jobs where C. Morgan had made the cost of the first job lower to attract the client as a first-time customer, but now finds it difficult to justify an increase in cost for repeat work. That's one in which I will often, in turning in the new job, let's say you take a new job for a new client and you've lowered the price to bring them in. At the moment you deliver that job, that's the point to tell them, I lost a little on this gig. I'm holding to my price, and here is the job you ordered, but just know that next time it's going to have to be a bit more because of these ways in which this job intersected with my shop, my process. So you don't have to say, I lowered this price in order to lure you in. You can be honest about the fact that institutional knowledge is institutional knowledge, and it's only gained empirically, by which I mean you have to screw up in order to know how to not screw up. So it's totally reasonable. I did this recently, when I built that spacesuit for Boeing, I told the client that I undercharged for this. I held to my price, but I now know what it costs for me to build a spacesuit for someone, and it's more than I charged the Boeing folks because I just about broke even on that gig. I didn't make much money on it. That's fine. My harm, my foul, and my learning. But it is really that's how to do it. Don't raise the price and then tell the client, well, there's no justification. You just did this job for them, and now you know that it's going to cost more. It's reasonable to tell them as you turn that job in. And Andrew London says, have you ever way underbid on a job to the point of making a loss because it was a job you really wanted to do, no matter the money involved? Yeah, totally. Maybe it's a play you love. Maybe it's a director you want to work with. Maybe it is an object you've been dying to make. All of those are totally good reasons to build something at a loss, in my opinion. And it's important to do that too. You can't just be looking for work that pays money for you to fulfill other people's visions. When the job intersects with your enthusiasm and your excitement, that is a reasonable thing to potentially lower the cost for, to increase your involvement in it and increase the the client freelancer relationship. And those can be some of the best jobs you execute, honestly. So in printing, back when I was a graphic designer, each graphic design firm works with one or two main printers for their gigs. And within the printing industry, there was kind of a standard that if you did if you were the main printer for a small 5-person graphic design studio in New York, you gave them a couple of freebies every year. You would do their wedding invitations for free or business cards for the office for free. I always really liked that within the printing industry because in freelance, that does make sense to turn out something for a great client that they need, or to solve a rainy day problem for them in a hurry. There's few better things you could do for client relations than that. And when thinking of client relations, it's really good to put yourself in your client's shoes and imagine their stressors. And that actually can also help you bid out a job. Who are you talking to? Are you talking to someone who's in a senior position at the company or in their lower position? Well, that's going to change the kind of budget they have at their disposal. You can look at the company and figure out how much that company is making every year, or what how successful they are. And that can also help you understand how much they might be willing to or able to spend on a gig. Evan Copps says, how do you figure out your price for doing commissions? I was asked to make an icon for someone and I did it for free, but it got me thinking about figuring out your own prices. So in graphic design, there are really specific numbers that are actually pretty reasonable baselines. Back when I was doing graphic design, the cost for a logo type i.e. the main thing that would adorn your stationery and your business cards and, well, there weren't websites back then, but would be presumably your website. There was like a baseline of about $800 is what you could expect to pay someone to design from scratch a logo type for you. And that's working with you through iterations. I have no idea what the price is now, but like your industry does have some things it knows. Icon development and design is something that it is, I'm pretty reasonably sure there is a sort of industry standard among people who know how to pay for that stuff well and people who know how to do it well about what the baseline price is. So I would talk to other professionals about that. Then I would also think about your day. Like, okay, you did this icon, so now you understand how long it would take you to make that for someone else. Well, if you did like 10 of those in a day, how would it feel? I mean, literally, I often do this. I would often do this. I would think like, okay, if I built 10 of these and I charged $1,000, would I feel like I got taken advantage of? Or would that feel like a good payday? I mean, those gut checks are actually really, really good A/B testing to do for yourself. I know I'm bouncing back and forth through these questions, but there's a lot of material here, and it is all, I think, really, really useful. How do you go about pricing a job, especially if it's for a project that you haven't done before? That comes from our friend Lee Marsh. Yes. If you haven't done it before, there's going to be stuff you don't know. There's going to be stuff you don't know that's going to show up. You know, another standard thing. So back in the day, back in the early aughts, late 90s, the standard among the shops that I worked with was bidding person days out at $500 per day. And I was surprised when I found that working as a small person with a single person shop here in the Mission, that charging that got me to mostly break even and make a little bit of money in my jobs. Like, I was no different than a big shop in that bidding process. And that seems like a lot of, that seemed at the time like a lot of money per day to make. And yet when I was doing jobs for that much, it wasn't a huge income. It was just enough. Another thing I would do is I would figure out the number of person days. I would figure out the actual cost of materials that I could imagine. And then I would, number one, add 20% onto my cost of materials, because travel and stuff you can't find and stuff you need to research. And then when all is said and done, if it's a job you've never done before, you might add 20% on the top of that, just because. I mean, I remember once bidding a job out, the client needed it in 6 days. And I knew that they had called everyone in San Francisco because I'd heard about this job from 3 other people that didn't take it. And I took the job and I was thinking, this is a big international corporation. They need this thing in 6 days. I figured out, well, okay, in 6 days, it'll blah, 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 this number of hours of mine, this amount of materials. Okay, it's coming out to about $5,000. And I thought, no, the rush fee, when you go to a printer and ask for a rush fee, the rush fee is ×2. The rush fee for getting stuff printed, and yeah, the rush fee for service industries like that, 3D printing and other stuff, is almost always a factor of 2. So I added $5,000 to the price because of the company and the timing. And they said yes without hesitation. I left money on the table, doubling my price. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us even further, you can by becoming a tested member. Details are, of course, below, but it includes all sorts of perks, and we're building them all the time. You get advanced word and behind-the-scenes photos of some of our projects. Questions, you get to ask direct questions during my live streams, and we have some members-only videos, including the Adam real-time series of unbroken, unedited shots of me working here in the shop. They are weirdly meditative. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you on the next one.